Hello, Muse. It is I, your one and only favorite artist. Actually, I don't know if I'm your favorite artist. I don't know if I'm your only artist. You may be out there musing with other people, cheating on me, as it were. I don't know. It's hard to say. And I'm really not going to ask you that because that's a little personal, I suppose. Something happened to me this week. Something that inspired this little conversation with you, La Muse. An old professor of mine from graduate school reached out to me and said he was interested in reading one of my novels during his holiday break. And he, instead of asking which one I thought he should read, he said I was looking at Control, which is the fourth book in the Fringe Killer series, as you know. Now, a lot of things went through my head when he said that. First and foremost, I have to say this particular professor was my first role model, and I kind of idolized him in grad school. So, needless to say, I was overcome by this incredible sense of worry, I wasn't awe-stricken. I was quite the opposite. And of course, I wanted to reach out and say, no. You need to start reading some of my earlier works. Read Frankenstein Theory, or the Reaper series, or Suicide Station. Any one of those, Lament, the later novels, because, they're more representative of where I am now. And the more I thought about it, the more I kind of became ashamed of myself for having that initial reaction. Now, I did reach back out to him and say, no, you should probably read A Blade Away because that's the first in the series. And if you don't read the first, second, and third, and fourth in sequence, you'll lose some of the character arc and growth. And I also said, understand that A Blade Away was the first book I ever wrote 20 years ago. So, there's that. But then, the further I got away from the conversation, the more ashamed I became of myself. Ashamed of myself because my initial response was almost embarrassment about my earlier works. Now, I know I've had this conversation with so many different writers. When they pose the question, would you go back and rewrite your earlier works? And the answer to that question is kind of a mixed bag. Some authors would love to go back and rewrite those works, and some others wouldn't touch them. Now, I've been very transparent about this, that I've been going back through some of my older stuff and giving them a sort of second edition treatment. And I do need to go back and give those the Fringe Killer series a second edition treatment. But at the same time, I feel very strongly about this. I wrote those books at a certain time in my life when certain things were going on, be they good or bad. And those things in my environment, those experiences that I was going through at the time, directly affected what I wrote and how I wrote. Now, you could go back and read whatever for the first time, A Blade Away, my first book, and then read my most recent book. And you could see the glimmer and get a glimpse of the beginning of my writer's voice and my style coming through in A Blade Away. It was there. It just wasn't quite as polished as it is now. But yeah, when I'm asked that question, would I go back and rewrite my original works? My answer is no. Because if I rewrote A Blade Away now, it wouldn't be the same book. I don't know that I could write that same book right now. I mean, I could write its equivalency, but I couldn't write that book now. Because that time is done. It's over. It's gone. But the idea that I was initially embarrassed that this man would opt to read some of my earlier works was a travesty and an affront against my craft. We all evolve as artists. It's just part and parcel to this existence. And where we began has helped to influence where we are. And so I shouldn't feel ashamed of those works. I should celebrate those early works. Now, yes, I do at least with a couple of them, yes, I want to give them second edition treatments because I know that they would benefit from it. But that's not me rewriting those books. That is me going back and repolishing those books. But there's a sense of pride in those. I'll just say this, especially with the French Killer series. A Blade Away was the first book I ever collaborated with with an editor. So it means a lot to me. And then Gothica was the first time with an editor that an editor really dug their fingers into that book and helped me along. And then along came Endgame. Endgame nearly ended my career as a writer because it was so challenging. Not necessarily to write, but there was an incident with an editor where I hired the editor to do the book, and the editor got a quarter of the way through and said he couldn't do it. He couldn't edit this book because it hit too close to home, and it was keeping him up at night, and he didn't want to do it. So I had to scramble and find another editor, and the editor that I found wasn't quite as good as the original editor, but that's neither here nor there. But the fact of the matter is that during that process, some things happened, and I almost stepped away and said, I don't know that I can do this. My skin was really thin at the time, and there's a cat fight going on back there somewhere. You can probably hear my Siamese cat growling, as she is wont to do frequently when anybody looks at her the wrong way. But I don't know what it was that helped me get through that process, but something did. Probably you. I don't know. Maybe a friend or two. But I did. I made it through that process, and I am really proud of that book. And I should feel that same kind of pride for all of those early works. I should be willing to say, hey, any of my books, you will enjoy them. They're good to go. I can highly recommend any of them. I should have that pride in them. And I really do. But I think this was a combination, kind of a perfect storm of things, where this man that I idolized for 4 years of my life, and for the first time, somebody on that level said, I want to read your work. So naturally, I kind of hit panic mode and wanted to say, please, no, read this book instead. But I would never tell a writer that they should be ashamed of their early work. It's us. Every bit of it helps us get to where we are. It's all kind of an evolution. So look back on those early works. Look back on them with pride, knowing that you did your best and that each successive book after that was an improvement on everything, on your skills, on your storytelling. So, yeah, Mr. Sir, who wants to read my early works, you go right ahead because you'll enjoy it. I promise you that. By the time you get to the 4th book in that series, I will have given it a second edition polish, I hope. But that's beside the point. So just embrace your history as an artist. You have to. You can't carve a piece of that history out and throw it into the void and hope to never see it again. It's all there, and you should be proud of it. Anyway, Muse. Got a lot to do. Almost done with Suicide Machine. And boy, I think we did it. I think we hit another home run with that. Anyway, that's all I got for now, Muse. What do you got? Come on, tell me a story. Tell me a story, Muse. What? Nothing? Come on. Fine. Get out of here.